Hello everybody! In this video, you'll be learning about important rules to follow while working with partial classes in C#. The agenda of my video will be understanding about the important rules to follow while working with partial classes in C#. So let's get straight into it. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to create a console application in Visual Studio. Okay, so here I've created a console application in Visual Studio. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a partial class over here. So I'm just going to say partial class. Oh, wait, partial class. And I'm going to go ahead and call the students. Okay. And then inside of this class, we are going to have some properties. Okay. So curly brackets. Okay. I'm just going to give that spacing over there. So I'm going to say prop, hit tab, and it's gonna be of type int, and its name actually is gonna be set to ID. So now we'll create another one. So prop is gonna be of type string, and there's gonna be name. Okay, there. Now I'm gonna go and open the Solution Explorer, right click on my project, and I've already taught you this, to create a new file in your project, your project. So just right click, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select add from here. So add, and then okay, and then select class. It's not included in recording. Now I'm just going to teach you a shortcut of how we can achieve the same thing. Just click Control Shift plus A, and then from that select class actually, and then just give your class a name. But I'm just gonna go ahead and click on class over here. So now we're gonna create a class. Okay, so this kind of a dialog box pops up. So if you click Control Shift A, you're gonna see the same thing, just that you select class. And now the next step is to give your class a name, right? So I'm just gonna go and call the student, not the student partial 1. And if you can just optionally kind of add that CS extension, and I have the add button over here. I'm just going to click on that, or else I could just click on enter also. So when we click on that, a new class will be created for us. Okay, so it has been created, the class has been created. So now what we will do is we're going to just rename this class. So it's student partial 1. Instead, we're just going to call this student. Okay. Um, then we have, wait just a second. Yep, partial class student. So yeah, so now we should include the partial keyword over here. So partial, if you remember. So partial, and now this class over here and this class over here are connected. They're linked together. Okay. So that's what the partial keyword does. You can split the implementation of a class into 2 or more parts. I've already explained about all of this. I'm just going to explain it again. So partial class student. So what do we have inside of here? We have a public void, print student info, public void print, just print, takes no parameters, and inside of this method, what we will essentially do is we will print out the values of ID and name. So I'm just going to say console.writeLine ID column. Wait, we should have a dollar sign over here. So ID, and then the placeholder, and then the ID property, which is here. ID, and then I'm just going to say \n used for creating a new line. So after that, I'm just going to say name colon space, and then the placeholder. So inside of here, we're just going to print out the property name. Okay, so let's just go and save that. So Control Shift S for saving all. Okay, so now let's go and talk about the main rules to follow while working with partial classes in C Sharp. That's the main topic of this video. So the first rule is that the partial classes should be inside of one same namespace. Okay, so this is a very important condition while working with partial classes. So let me just kind of go over this or explain it to you. So basically, I've said this many times, I'm just going to repeat it. When you create a partial class, you know, it's going to get, when your code gets compiled, it's going to get merged to form one single class, right? You're already familiar with that. So um, when the assemblies or DLLs are created, they're created by the namespace, depending on the namespace. If you have a partial class in one namespace and another partial class in a second namespace in another namespace, then wouldn't it be a confusion, right? Okay, hope you understood that. Now, the second important rule to follow while working with partial classes is that their access modifiers cannot be different, right? So over here, if I like, let me just show you that to you. Show that to you. Over here, if I like try to put the access modifier internal, and in program.cs where I have the partial class, I try to put public. Then, as you can see, we have an error. So let's just go through what the error is. Partial declarations of student have conflicting access modifiers. That's because we have provided public over here and internal over here. So why is it like that? Why does it work like that? Basically, I have again said this many times. When your code gets compiled, when the partial classes are merged to form one single class, wouldn't the compiler be kind of confused which access modifier to put on the actual class? Actually, when the class generated or created, the partial keyword is removed. Then the compiler starts to ask, which access modifier do I apply on the student class? It doesn't know because over here we're saying it's internal and same over here, we're saying it's public. So that is a problem. You cannot do that. You cannot have conflicting or intersecting access modifiers with partial classes. Okay, so now let's move on. So I'm just gonna remove these access modifiers for now, internal and public. So I'm just gonna remove that totally. So now over here, I come and say that this partial class is abstract. Okay, that means you cannot create an object, you can only do inheritance. You can only perform inheritance. So if I try to mark this as abstract, abstract partial class students, then when we come to program.cs, actually let's just create an object of this student class. So student the partial class. So this student class. So I'm just going to create an object of the student class in program.cs inside of the main method. So I'm going to say var student equals new student, the class. So new student bracket semicolon. So this basically is not possible. That's because we have marked this class as abstract here. So the error is that cannot create an instance of the abstract classroom interface students. So basically that's not possible. So we can still perform inheritance over here. So I can kind of inherit this class program from the class student. That is perfectly fine. We won't have any errors, just like you can see, and we will successfully inherit that class. But over here, I changed this to sealed. I think I've already explained about sealed and abstract, but basically, seal just means that you cannot inherit this class. You can create an object. There's no problem. Kind of just opposite to abstract. In abstract, you can only inherit. You can create an object. You cannot create an object, I mean. And in the case of sealed, you can't perform inheritance, not like abstract, and you can create an object. So I'm just gonna remove the sorry, we have an error, right? I'm just gonna show that. So a program cannot derive from seal type students. Okay, so that is not possible. Now let's get in. I'm gonna explain some more in detail about this. So when you mark this partial class as abstract or even sealed, then then this whole partial class, like I said, is going to be considered as sealed or abstract. So it depends on whichever keyword you apply. So if you apply seal, it's going to be considered as sealed, and abstract, it's going to be considered as abstract. Okay, hope you get that concept. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to over here make this class as abstract. Over there I made it sealed, and over here I'm going to try to make it abstract. So abstract, that's not possible. So error, student and abstract class cannot be sealed or static. So basically what this means, just like how it's for the case of access modifiers, you cannot have intersecting or conflicting access modifiers. The same thing for sealed and abstract keywords. So over here, like I said, depending on which keyword you apply, the full partial class is going to be considered like that. If you apply seal, it's going to be sealed, and if you apply abstract, it's going to be abstract, right? But like I said, this I've said this many times again. Um, when your code gets compiled, these partial classes, wherever inside of the same namespace they're found, they're all compiled into combined, into one single class, right? And that class can only be one, sealed, or it can be abstract, right? It cannot be both of them together. So if we apply sealed over here and abstract over here, then don't you think that when the code gets compiled, the compiler will confuse to about which keyword to apply to this partial class? Like, should it apply abstract? It doesn't know. Should it apply sealed? It doesn't know. So C# doesn't allow us to perform this kind of an operation. Now let's understand about the important points about when you're performing inheritance with partial classes. So I'm just going to remove the sealed and the abstract keywords from there. Okay, and I'm just going to create two classes just for demonstrating it to you. They're not actually important. So class, hit tab, my class 1, let's say something. Class, my class 2, not 1, my class 2. So I think I've already said this, that multiple inheritance with classes is not allowed, right? But with interfaces, it is allowed. So over here, we try to say that partial class student is inheriting from the my class 1, and this my class 1, the components of that can even be accessed inside of here and even inside of here. That's just a point to remember. And over here, the second one, the second partial part, I'm just gonna say student is derived or inherited again from uh what was its name? Yeah, my class 2. This is not gonna be possible because again, these both, like I said, when um, your code gets compiled, it's going to be merged into one single class. So multiple inheritance with classes is not allowed, but with interfaces, it is allowed. So let's just take a look at the errors. Partial declarations of student must not specify different base classes. So you can only have one single base class. You can only inherit a class from one single other class. You can't do more than that, right? So I think I've already explained about that, but I've just said it again over here. But we have for one more thing. Again, when your code gets compiled, it's going to be merged, right? That time the compiler will be confused again. So it's the same. I'm just going to remove these two classes to be changed by interfaces. So interface, hit tab. I interface. I'm just going to go and name this I interface 1. And I'm going to have another interface, I interface 2, let's say. And remember, you should give these meaningful names. This is just for demonstration, pure demonstration. So I'm just going to inherit this from I interface 1. Um, Come over here and inherit this from I interface 2. So this is possible because multiple inheritance with interfaces is allowed, but with if you take the same example of classes, it is not allowed. Okay, hope you understand that. And with that, I hope you have understood about the important rules to follow while working with partial classes in C Sharp. So that is it for this video, and thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.